Hello, everybody, and today for my adventures of Superman, I'm reviewing episode 4 of season 3. So, this episode was surprisingly pretty good. We get the first appearance, well, technically, full on appearance of Superboy. This time, he's not a clone, he's actually the future son of Clark and Lois. So, the way they did this Superboy twist was actually pretty good, because usually it's the story where Lois gets pregnant and then eventually gives birth to Jonathon Kent, or in some versions we got where he was a exact clone created by Lex Luthor, not like Bizarro, but like it's like I'm thinking of the one from Young Justice. But this Superboy is surprisingly pretty good looking. I do like his outfit. And I think the voice actor is Darren Criss. I may have gotten that wrong. But he is no stranger to voicing Superman since he did him in the Tomorrowverse. Now he's doing Superboy. So this episode is where Lois and Clark decide to finally go on a date. But Jimmy is still trying to find a girlfriend, even though why doesn't he just date Kara? It's becoming like a plot point throughout this season. But he dates some girl who has like superpowers that have like a porcupine, and he's like covered in needles, and eventually he has to go to see a scientist to get them removed, which I thought was funny. But our characters encounter Superboy, who he claims is from the future, a dark future, which it's revealed at the end. Because surprisingly, this episode is pretty quick. We get a love dynamic between Clark and Lois a lot more in this episode. The last episode was more about Kara and Lois trying to figure things out when in the dating cesspool, but also Clark is still working on his mini model of what he wants the future to look like, but it turns out it's going to be even a darker future, even after they are all hanging out at the restaurant. But surprisingly, they're not really ready for the whole raising a kid situation. They're just shocked that he just comes out of nowhere, and John is like surprised of how young they are. Even though these characters are probably, I'm guessing, in their 20s or 30s by this timeline. But of course, the one thing we do take note of is when we see like a future broadcast of a different older looking Lois Lane. And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I heard her say Batman. I know I've been campaigning for the whole Batman showing up in this show. I know there's Caped Crusader coming out this July, the end of July, but it'd be cool to see Batman. So if I misheard what Lois said in the news report in this episode, I guess we shall see if Batman ever does show up, because the writers don't exactly want to use him, but they'll save him for later. But our characters are surprisingly getting along. We finally have a Superman family. We got Jimmy, Lois, Superman, Superboy, Kara. They're all having noodles together. It's all going very well, of course. But it all takes a turn when our characters have to fight like this bull-looking creature. I forget the character's name, but it was surprisingly a good fight, where Superman and Superboy are learning to work together like father and son. But it turns out we're getting more insight between Lex Luthor and the cyborg Superman, who turns out to be the one that is going to cause this dark future to happen. And he makes a broadcast appearance after deciding to betray Lex and Deathstroke, where he announces his next plan. And the next episode looks like it's going to be exploring Superman and Kara dealing with that ordeal. But surprisingly, this episode was pretty good. It was fun just seeing our characters just hang out, and then the usual Superman shenanigans. But I'm really curious what they're going to do with Jonathon Kent. And we do get a scene, because the last episode was kind of like the girls' night out. Now it's the guys' night out, where they're putting on various clothes. But we shall see the next episode where things are going to get real good as John reveals that Superman has died in this alternate future, by Cyborg Superman. I honestly thought it was going to be Doomsday, because that's usually the Superman story where he's killed by Doomsday and then he comes back as Superman. Literally, when the Death of Superman comic came out, it was literally Superman was dead for a full year, and then they did Reign of the Superman, and then Superman came back, of course, in the mainstream comics. But yeah, so we're probably not going to get Doomsday, but if we do, that'd be super cool. It'd be cool to see him in an anime looking world of Superman, but we shall see. I'm just speculating here. So I'll probably give this episode probably just a 7 out of 10. We shall see what happens the next episode, since the show is getting pretty good so far. It's been kind of slow start. It's just slowly building towards a great story. So we shall see. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.